What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the CanesInSight podcast. I am Peter Ariz, and we have some major news today. The Miami Hurricanes have their next men's basketball coach, Jay Lucas, the associate head coach from Duke. At CanesInSight, we've reported this was a name going back to late January that was very much involved in this coaching search for the Hurricanes. We reported last week that he was a finalist, and now we can say Jay Lucas, again, associate head coach at Duke, will go through his history, his career as a coach up to this point, but he will be Miami's next men's basketball coach. Huge news here. The 13th head coach in Canes Hoops history, of course, following up the legend Jim Larrañaga, who stepped down in the middle of the season this year. It's been a really rough past couple of years at Miami. So the program now going to be turning over the keys to Jay Lucas, and a guy who has no head coaching experience, which is going to be something that a lot of people say right off the bat. But when you look at this guy's resume, you look at his pedigree, it is as impressive as it gets and checks every box when you look at someone that you want leading your program into this next generation of NIL and where talent acquisition is as important as it is. He's going to need to build a strong staff around him, of course, as any coach is in today's era. But what he brings to the table from a recruiting standpoint is something that very few do. So just to let you guys kind of in on the background on Jay Lucas, again, regarded as one of the top recruiters of the country, but has a very prominent coaching role here at Duke, of course, one of the top teams in the country. A lot of people around the program say he's the one who's, to credit for their defensive success. He runs that side of the floor for them. You can go back and watch some mic'd up stuff. There's a video on YouTube about him there at Duke, and you can see how hands-on he is with the defensive scheme. Recruiting-wise, has been credited in a primary role with the likes of Shaden Sharp at Kentucky, Cooper Flagg, the Boozer brothers, Shelton Henderson this year at Duke, just to name a few. This guy's coaching background, dating back to the end of his playing career, played overseas and then played in the G League for a bit, was a McDonald's All-American coming out, played at Florida for a year, then transferred to Texas before transferring, when you had to sit out a year, that back in 07, 08. So did that, played at Texas, like I said, played overseas. And then in 2013, right when he decided to call it quits on his playing career, Rick Barnes hires him and is retained by Shaka Smart at Texas in 2015 when he took over. So that's impressive right there. John Calipari pulls him from Texas, where he had been now for 6-7 years, and at that point was already a very young high-profile assistant. Buried the lead here. This is a 36-year-old guy who comes from a very prominent basketball family, the Lucas family. His dad been a head coach, played in the league. And a guy who in the Houston area, these guys are very well respected in the game of basketball as a whole. So back to his background here. Calipari pulls him from Texas and makes him basically the lead of their entire recruiting operation at Kentucky, which that goes to show you something there. And Calipari believed that he was a guy who could take them into this new NIL age, right when NIL was really becoming a thing. Then Coach K hires him in 2022 in his last season. He's an assistant coach in K's last year, and then gets the associate head coach label when Shire takes over. And he's basically the second in command over there, leading the recruiting efforts, running the defensive efforts for Duke. And to me, this is when people say, well, he doesn't have the head coaching experience. There's outliers in this coaching business. And this is someone who was a huge outlier in the fact that he's the first Duke assistant who had not played for the Blue Devils in 30 years. So that, to me, goes to show you this guy's a little bit different. He's special. Someone who is such a rising, ascending star that you take a chance on a guy like him now. And Miami's had their chance just overall here, just looking at this hire and this search for Miami, because I know people are going to say, well, why didn't you go hire a proven head coach? I get that. The problem is a lot of proven head coaches are not able to keep up with the way the game is changing right now in the NIL. And yes, there's a lot of these guys who have been around forever. Coach L, who just stepped down, and he's cited it as a reason. But Jay Lucas is someone who can combat this era in a good way, and he can really play. A lot of this stuff is going to play to his strengths in terms of, again, flipping the roster right away. But looking at this search, Miami's had time. Larinaga steps down end of December. There, first couple weeks, as I've said, information gathering, figuring out what's out there, and Miami did their due diligence here. There were other people involved, head coaches at other programs, people in the NBA, as we've heard from the beginning. I know that there were definitely people NBA-wise with big-time resumes that were interested in this job. But at the end of the day, the people who make the decisions at Miami felt like Lucas was the right guy for this time right now. And I tend to agree with them, man. I think there's always going to be that question of the unknown. He has not been the head coach. That's going to just keep coming up in the comments here. But this is a guy who, if he was not hired by Miami here, another big time P4 program would have hired him this year. Okay. You go look at the stuff on the Duke boards and you hear what their fans are saying even before this news came out. And there is speculation that he was going to go take over at Texas in a year or two. So they believe he's ready. The Duke people do, who, they know basketball. They know pedigree. John Shire is a guy who had no head coaching experience. Obviously came up in that Duke system. And some people may say, well, is his recruiting success relative to where he's been? Because he's been at Texas, Kentucky, and Duke. Does it help? Without a doubt. But if he's been taken by each one of these places, they all saw something special in him. So I'm excited about this. I'm really, looking forward to the future of this Canes Hoops program leading us into this new age. Coach L, we are so grateful for what you did for this program and really put us in the position to hire a guy who is going to be, again, would have been wanted by a ton of big time programs here. So we'll see how things look moving forward. I expect the recruiting efforts Coach Lucas is going to finish out the season here with Duke. They have something that they want to finish, a mission that they want to finish. It's going to be interesting though, to see it happen, to see it get, announced by the school and he gets publicly behind it and all that. So we're looking forward to all of this happening here. But again, Jay Lucas, the next men's basketball coach at the University of Miami. And we're excited to see it develop here at CanesInsight.com. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching.